So the other thing you'll notice is in line 1.06, if you see this drastic decrease from 1.782 in fiscal year 21, and I should have said the first 3 years in this forecast are actual numbers. So this is what actually happened last year. There's a decrease down to 975,000 this year. That difference is the open enrolled in funding. We have to take that back out. So, am I listening to myself? Yeah, go ahead. So, again, this is all due to the new funding formula and due to receiving money for students that are educated in our district instead of resident students. That's the key to the whole thing. So if you bring your eyes down, you'll notice down here in our expenditures, under personal services are our payroll. So we're going from 17 million to 18 million in 22, and the estimates on out. This is a negotiated year, so I've built in increases for payroll that are estimated based on negotiations. I've built them in at 2%, and we still are in a good place. The May forecast, I had money built in at 1% for those increases. The next line down is employees' retirement and insurance benefits. You'll notice that's not changing much. Our district is very, very diligent. All of our staff is very diligent about participating in our wellness funds, and it keeps our claims rate down. So this year we had no claims increases. Any increases in this line item are either from new staff or from increases in ST, SERS, Medicare, things like that. It's not from, can you get it?
Yep. Okay, go back up.
Yep, there you go. So the increases on that line item are not from health insurance. So we do a really great job. And this is our second year in a row to have no increases due to our claims experience. We actually are looking at life insurance that's going to actually decrease the benefits and provide a better benefit than what we have right now.
Decrease the benefits or decrease the premium?
Decrease the premium, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Decrease the premium and have a better benefit, sorry.
That sounds better.
Okay? And then when you go down here to purchase services and you see the decrease, I lost my little guy. He's gone. I don't know what happened to him.
I see it.
You do?
Yeah.
Where?
Well, I see the red light shining.
Okay, so I'm down on the purchase services line. If you look at 2021, you'll see 5.899 million. And then look at 2022, you see that drop to 3,135,000. The decrease again is the amount we pay to other districts from them taking our funding due to open enrolled out. So when all of that is stripped out, our forecast looks much, much better. We don't have to worry about open enrolled in, open enrolled out. We're just basically paying for the kids we're educating. And that's the message that everybody needs to walk away with from that. I'm going to draw your attention next to capital outlay. In 2021, there's a negative $43,000, which is probably going to jump out at you and look odd. The reason that's there is because our ESSER money allowed us to go back in to dig into our 2020 expenditures and actually recoup those. So we were allowed to take and add everything back to the expenditure line and go and claim them on ESSER, and that's why that $43,000 is there. On the capital outlay lines, I have buses built in. We have the plow truck that you've already approved. We also have additional Chromebooks in future years, 23 to 26. The Chromebooks aren't built into 22, and the reason is because we have our ESSER money planned for that as well. Chromebooks cost us about $230,000 a year. If you could scroll down a little bit for me. I promise I'm almost done. I know this is riveting stuff, right?
How far?
Keep going. So the heart of all this is, if you look at our cash balance, you can stop. You can go down just a little more maybe. Now stop. If you look at our cash balance on row 10.01, and you compared that to last May, we didn't even make it into what would have been 2023 to have a positive cash balance. With the new funding model, we have a positive cash balance on 1501 clear across the board, assuming that we pass our levy that we have to go on the ballot with. That levy's going on the ballot first in November of 2022, and it'll be first collected in 2024. So, with all of that, does anybody have any questions for me? I did go in increases for health insurance premiums, thinking that at this point, since we've been through COVID and we've been really, really lucky to not have any premium increases. In years 23 through 26, I have built into the model an 8% increase on health insurance premiums, which is what the old models showed. That's what we used to have until we hit the point where we got no claims increases. Any questions? This is a really great forecast. I'm
How
really
many
excited
buses
about
do
it,
you
if
have
nobody can tell.
in there?
What's that?
How many buses do you have in there?
I have one bus in 2022 and then 2 buses each year thereafter.
And that keeps our fleet at under how much?
We want to keep our fleet at under 10 years. And
Okay.
the reason 2022 has 1 bus is the other bus is in PI, so that we could buy the snow plow,
Correct.
the plow truck.
And this also allows us to stay on the curriculum schedule that we've
It does.
adopted
Good
over the last several
question.
years?
I built in $400,000 a year from 23 to 26 in order to keep updated on curriculum so we don't slide back.
Great.
Other questions?
Just question on the renewal, on the property tax number. Is that just one renewal that plays out over that period of
Yes,
time, or
it
there are
is.
multiple renewals on that?
That's one.
Okay.
So we have one renewal that's gonna come up in, again, first on the ballot in November of 22. And then the reason you see 2024 at 1.4 million
Just one
is
collection?
because it's one collection. Then the second year is 2 collections, and the third year is 2 collections.
Okay,
It's a total of $7 million if it doesn't pass over those 3 years. And you can see it's definitely a need, because without it, we'll be at $4.8 million in the red.
and it's listed separate because it's assumed, right? It's not done yet, but that's what it looks like.
It's listed separate because it is not a known collection to us. It's required by law.
Mhm, okay. And on the state funding part of it, with the change there, how much did you build into forecast just for every year for 4 years? Is it just for 2 years
Oh, good
as far as what
question.
they're doing?
So the biennium budget was voted on, House Bill 110, is fiscal year 22 and 23. The House Bill 110 is to phase in over 6 years. So 22 and 23, the numbers are the actual phase-in.
Mhm.
24 was supposed to be 37% phase-in, 25 was supposed to be 50% phase-in, and 26 was supposed to be at 87%. And then in 27, it would be 100% phased in. Because that biennium budget is not adopted and that's not a known, I went on the conservative side because the governor doesn't have to do it, and they have to be able to fund it. So it's a lot of money to the state of Ohio. I believe it's like $400 million. Do you remember that number?
I don't remember that number.
It's a lot of money to the state, and one of the questions is where they're gonna come up with that funding. So I decreased 2024 to about 25% instead of 37% phase-in. In 25, I went with 35% phase-in, and in 26, I went up to 75% phase-in. So I included phase-ins, being optimistic, but I didn't take them at
Not
full.
all of it, got it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay,
Good,
Oh, encouraging.
thank you.
Thank you.
it is encouraging. Okay, to complete,
Can you turn that off, Patty?
thank you. So, the rest of my report, in your folder, you have October financial statements, the key indicator, the cash flow, the check register, the financial reports for both QDA and QPA. Again, the review that you need to do is at the sponsor level. You have the bank reconciliation. All accounts are reconciled to the penny. I have a Cleveland State University MOU for student teachers that's in your folder. The Auditor of State engagement letter, that's because the Auditor of State is in and started our audit. They come in August and they will leave here in February. JM Verasco, that's the engineering for phase 3 of the boiler projects. That is something that will be paid for with ESSER, and that project is estimated right now to be about $1.3 million. But we don't have all of the bids in, and all the work is not done, all the specs aren't done. PSI service agreement is for TCC to be able to get their nurse. Again, I have to manage TCC funding lines. We have a Televine therapy service contract for speech services because we didn't have enough speech services throughout the district. The security framework with OMARISA, this goes to cybersecurity, and OMARISA set this up for, I think when you adopt this resolution, it basically means that you're in agreement with the resolution to implement the cybersecurity being suggested. And just as a side note, by February, we have to have multi-factor authentication throughout the district. So we're working on that. The Cultivate Behavioral Health and Education contract is included. And of course, the last thing is the 5-year forecast. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to accept my report.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Ms. Sleeper?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 7, personnel.
Item 7, personnel, and that would also include the addendum. We do have a couple retirements, and I just want to speak a minute about them. These are 2 people who are definitely going to leave a hole. They've both been with the district for several years and have done a fantastic job. So Denise Larkin will be leaving at the end of the calendar year, and Marie Martini will be leaving actually effective March 1st per the addendum. We also have a handful of resignations as listed there. The certified resignation, and then hires, certified, classified, supplementals. There are some supplemental corrections for Amy Lorenz doing yearbook. These are things that were never put on the board agenda. So she was never offered a contract and has done that work for those years. So we wanted to make that correction. Home instruction volunteers, both in the classroom and athletic, and draw a big circle and star around the substitute teachers. There are 11 new teaching subs, and that is all a result of the new flexibility with teaching subs. We also have 6 classified subs between the different classifications. So those are very, very good news, very good things for us as a district, and hopefully will help to cover some of the shortages that we've had. And with that, I'll accept a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any questions on any of these items? No?
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Ms. Sleeper?
Yes. Motion carries.
Item 8, committee report. Facilities. Any facilities updates?
Just moving ahead with HVACs and roofs and all kinds of good stuff that, jump in there, Julie. So monies are.
Yeah, ESSER money's
The stuff
covered.
that we were trying to figure out how we're going to fund.
We have, this building's done, York is done. I believe East is in process right now, and then there will be 2 to follow for boilers, and we've made sure that they can't, the kids can't go without heat, so as they're installing. The one thing I do want to mention is we've had a lot of problems with South, which was installed 2 years ago. So, Gardner, which is the people who are managing the boiler project, they're gonna go down and give me a report on what we can do with South, because that boiler should have a life of 20 years, and it's already been through 3 heat exchangers. So, we need to look at it to see if it's a capacity issue, if it was installed incorrectly, what the issue is. I've asked them to do that, give me a written report, I'll bring it to the board to let you guys know.
Yeah, they replaced 1 boiler with 4 at South, almost 3 years ago now. So there's been 3 exchanger failures in that amount of time. Nobody's quite sure what the actual problem is. So
So,
we're looking for some experts with an independent thought process to come in and see what the heck's going on. I mean, the logic behind it was between the efficiency and the redundancy of 4 boilers over 1, was a heck of an idea, but there's something not right down there. It shouldn't be failing as often as it has.
yeah, so, sure, it sounds like. So if they go through and complete a report, does that become definitive enough that somebody's accountable for missing something?
That's exactly what I asked him for.
It's definitive enough. The question is, how much effort are we gonna have to put into convincing the vendor that
That's exactly what I
Stand
asked
up
him
and be
for.
counted.
that's where we're at?
No kidding.
Yeah,
He said
that,
it very nice compared to how I said it.
and the other thing with that, you know, I don't think that unless, and this is district-wide, it's some of the ESSER stuff sounds sketchy. The quality of your roof and the impact that the quality of your roof has on the air quality in your building is tremendous. And there is a lot of money being spent on roofs, but there are a lot of areas in our buildings that if it starts to rain, we go get buckets and serving dishes and whatever we can. Anytime you've got moisture in your roof like that, you're just asking for mold, and you're asking for little kids to get sick. And that's a real clear, specific target of the ESSER funding was air quality in our buildings. And you have to look it up on the line, but they can explain it better than I can. But certainly roof quality, dryness of the roof and the ceiling is a huge impact on air quality inside a building the size of our schools.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Let's post it on those projects. Thank you. Item 9, superintendent's report.
I have a few things here. The first one, the resolution for the acceptance of developed standard policies, that's the same security framework from Omarisa that was in the treasurer's report, so. Oh, sorry about that. That's all right. Item B, the non-routine trip, the Delphi Chorale wants to go to Columbus on June 5th and 6th. That information was in the board folder. They're going to perform and then also see a professional performance of Wicked. So that's on for approval. Item C, the second reading and adoption of the sponsorship policies. These were on 2 months ago. We neglected to put them on for a second reading last month, so we want to finalize those. And item D, first reading of the 79 board policies that have needed to be updated. We got a little behind with those, and so we are getting caught up. So they are all listed there. All the updates are in your board folder for review.
Moving another reading on this, right?
And there will be another reading on those next month, as well as probably the next round of updates, because it will be time for the next round in November. So,
The format changed on those two. You'll notice that, maybe you already did, in the board folder, the format they use to update our policies is a little bit different than it has been in the past. But it's relatively clear as to what got changed and what didn't, as well as why.
Yeah.
I mean, when we update those policies, I mean, we're getting advised legally with what,
Yes.
this isn't just a couple people sitting in a room and changing the
No.
policies. I mean, we're going through and using.
Well, it's
and then
Mr. France and I, and we figured it
Oh,
all
yeah,
out. Yeah, we got it
Oh,
all
whatever
down.
you guys think.
We didn't need that lawyer guy.
Got the books out from when Dan was in law school.
yeah, Ohio School Boards Association provides legal recommendations for all the policy updates.
Some of them are to keep us up with, the bulk of them are to keep us up with the higher vice code. The next biggest category after that is the changes recently to Title IX and sexual harassment. And there were a lot that we just needed to make little adjustments so that our policies protected our students and staff in case we needed to engage them. And would hold up under scrutiny. And then there's the other ones like tobacco and that stuff, that's just your typical, what we have to change every now and again.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Entertain a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Mr. France? Yes. Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Leeper? Yes. Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Before we the Book of Bear, it looks like we're ready to go into executive session here.
Yeah.
Is there a way to edit
Thank
the
you.
video of our meeting? It's very important to the board that the video is made available to the public and it's easily accessed by the public. And there were certainly some vulgarities used during the board meeting tonight. Is there a way you can, I don't want you to change the content. Can you make it to where that those, and I'm sure you can figure them out. Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Maybe bleep my anger too.
No, that was appropriate.
That was unfortunate. I apologize again.
One thing I would disagree with you on there, Denny, is that the ladies comment. I don't think it had anything to do with being ladies in the room. It's reasonable people
Yeah,
trying to work through issues.
yeah, I don't like to talk like that for no
No, we shouldn't be talking like that in a board meeting.
period.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, Mr. Freshwater's been at the last two meetings. Is he a New Philadelphia resident?
No, he is not.
No, he's not. Okay. Not that, I mean, he can come to the meeting from wherever he lives, but just was curious. Okay.
Okay. Item 10, move to executive session. Discipline of public employee or official.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Call the roll.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.